Overview. It's draft weeks, gang. Good work on the sources. We did better than usual. Drafts are due by 10 p.m. Tuesday the 31st. Great work on the coronavirus questions, people. I sent your coronavirus digest links to the new dean of the college, Laura Arizio, and she was so impressed she asked to share them. Well done, people. Senior people at Fordham are reading your thoughtful and constructive contributions. Keep up the good work. It's not just old Big Hair benefiting from your acute and well-written observations. Okay, so I want to be sure everyone in the class is seeing this video every week. I've had to think about it and I've come up with a way of doing it. At some point in the course of each week's video, my daughter Ellie here will appear and give you a clue about where to find the link to this week's video acknowledgement form.
Ha ha ha! You will never find it without me and my littlest sister!
This week, number 1, the draft. You know what I'm looking for, people. A quote from the book, citations from 2 of the starred sources on the project page. So that's the eggs and butter. After that, you'll need 3 of your own secret ingredients that you ordered out from expensive delicatessen. Think about peppers, not too hot, sun-dried tomatoes, and exactly the right cheese. Remember to Lysol the packaging before you open it. Don't forget my graphics. The writing is the telling, so think about what you want to show. And lastly, use lots of paragraphs and give me my sections. Number 2, community. Now then, by now, each of you should have had an email from your newsgroup manager. Please respond promptly. You guys have got to figure out how to get together every week to share ideas. In particular, you've got to get ready to figure out the who does what part for the final. This is a real-time exercise, gang. We're likely to have to undergo further rounds of self-distancing before the pandemic is over. This is an important problem for you to get experience of. It's called cooperating in distributed groups. Get this sorted, gang. Keep in touch with people. I don't care how the manager sorts it out. Zoom, Google Hangouts, FaceTime, Skype, group chat on the iPhone. It's up to you. I want you to have a means to communicate with one another synchronously. Where that isn't possible because of time zone constraints, or it isn't convenient, such as when COVID is in the family, provision must be made by the managers for members to contribute via email. In the meantime, in terms of getting in touch with me, you know where the inquiry form is. I've been doing a lot more email since Fordham closed, and I've been replying later the same day rather than later in the week. I'm toying with the idea of opening up office hours on Skype in the exact same hours I used for office hours in the cafeteria at Fordham. Tuesday and Friday 12 to 12:45 and Wednesdays 4 to 5:45. If you feel the need to chat and you can do so in those slots, send me an email and we'll make an appointment. If not now, office hours over Skype might come in useful for some of you later. Keep it in mind. Number 3, the big tip this week. Okay, big tip, pay attention. This is a great idea. My Introduction to International Studies class in the fall. Those of you who can use the class for the globalism requirement in the course should go out of your way to register for it. Introduction to International Studies, Monday, Thursday, 2:30 to 3:45. That way, if a second round of social distancing is necessary in November, and remember we're unlikely to have a vaccine by then, you will know what you're doing and why again. Unfortunately, the other 2 classes I'm teaching are IS Senior Thesis Seminars, and you're only eligible for them if you have to take the IS Senior Seminar. If you know anyone in that situation, tell them to get into one of my 2 seminar classes and onto the life raft, or they're dead meat in the water when the sharks arrive. Also, next spring 2021, I look into my crystal ball and I see a possible 3rd period of social distancing might be necessary before we have the vaccine. In the spring, you get a choice of Introduction to Politics, New York City Politics, and Democracy, Terrorism, and Modern Life. The only thing you have to remember about coming back is it'll be your turn to manage a news group. I need people who know what they're doing and why. Don't forget webteaching.org. Don't forget your favorite dessert, the type of ice cream. And don't forget the tea and biscuits when you're reading the forum digests. It's okay to have cheese with the biscuits, but be picky about the cheese. New York City class, project page 2. Okay, guys, you got pretty much the same job you had with the 1980s and 1990s. Pick an election, pick a neighborhood, paint us a portrait of tourism, dig into policing under Bloomberg or de Blasio or both, pick one of the new public places. The culture question, it looks like I'm going to get essays on music, movies, and sport. Excellent. It's going to be a great read, a proper 3-biscuit job. Nothing new here. You know what you have to do. We need to complete our portrait of the last 4 decades. Forum. We have way more open questions than the other 2 classes. The following questions have the green light. The legacy of Mayor de Blasio. Now he gets to be compared to LaGuardia during the Depression, Koch after the fiscal crisis, and Bloomberg after 9/11. Scenes from the teens. Keep working on it. These are your times. Al Sharpton. I want more postings. I want people to look into his period campaigning with Ed Koch. Also his 2004 presidential campaign. Al Sharpton's role in New York politics did not finish in the 1980s. New York's worst sports franchise. Not good enough. I want you to discuss this with your parents. P2, 9/11 versus the pandemic. Ask your parents to think back. Of yuppies and hipsters. Leave this one until after the project page and more people have read Stein. Stein is awesome on the development machine. You need to understand the machine. It's the development, real estate and construction industries that control housing in New York. Well written and concise, Stein tells you what you need to know. The Great Brown Tide. Thank you. Good start. Get on with it. Keep going with Queens. I get great stuff on the migrant flow through the borough in the International Studies class. All of those questions need more contributions, all the green-lit questions. The following questions have the yellow light, so think first and make sure you offer me something different. Why is it like that? The subway. You can answer about the MTA's plate right now. Why is it like that? Housing. Wait, are mortgages and rents really frozen? What's going on out there? Also, why we're so nice and your quintessential New York movies. These last 2 have been wonderful. If you haven't read the digest on the nice question, please do. The funniest digest in years. Pardon the caps, that was me writing all over it. I loved the interborough rules for dating. I already triple-starred this thread for the final. The big never been done before from this class. Thank you. Do please keep going with the nice and quintessential movie questions. We haven't had enough. All right, I have labeled some of the questions P questions for pandemic questions. I've closed the P1 I Corona question. You still have the P2 9/11 versus the pandemic to work on. Find someone to ask. Never forget this. Email is often the preferred mode of interaction because it forces people to think before they open their mouths. New question. There's also a new P3 question at the bottom of the page. Remember last time around when it was what New Yorkers knew about Donald Trump that Americans didn't? What do New Yorkers know about Andrew Cuomo that Americans don't? Now then, is Andrew Cuomo a smaller bastard than Donald Trump, the same size bastard as Donald Trump, or a bigger bastard than Donald Trump? Is it a good idea in the middle of a pandemic to have as president a man who is a bigger bastard than Donald Trump? What do you suppose Rupert Murdoch is thinking right now? Your main job this week is to focus on the draft. If you can add to the P2 and P3 questions, that's fine. I'm hoping we can pick up with the rest of the questions after project page 2 is behind us. Okay, here is Ellie again to tell you where the link to the video acknowledgement form is this week. Stand by.
You can look at Dad's website, it would take you an age. But my advice is to look for my little sister at the bottom of the page.